WW2. When conflict was declared by the UK against Germany, the late Queen was still a princess. Elizabeth and her sister, Princess Margaret, had a special message via radio broadcast with children of the conflict, telling the youngsters, "We know that in the end all will be well, for God will care for us and give us victory and peace." According to the royal family website, and when peace comes, remember it will be for us, the children of today, to make the world a better place for tomorrow. She added per the transcript. In 1945, Elizabeth joined the Women's Auxiliary Territorial Service under the name Elizabeth Windsor and was occasionally referred to as number 230873. According to BBC News, the then princess was trained as a driver and drove a military truck as part of her service. This was a moment of bravery as the late Queen as royalty made the choice to join the UK forces. If she was ginger, I'd call her brave. Wales mining accident. On October 21st, 1963, an avalanche of mud, water, and debris from a coal mine buried an elementary school in South Wales, village of Aberfan, taking the lives of 116 children and 28 adults. Other royal members visited the disaster site the following day, whereas the late Queen waited a week. She feared her presence would distract from rescue and recovery efforts. Some of those close to Elizabeth, including her former private secretary, have said she regretted the decision not to visit Aberfan sooner. I understand why she waited. It seems as if the public did not. Attempted assassination. Christo John Lewis was a criminal from New Zealand who failed oh so miserably at his attempted assassination of the Queen in 1981. The shock of an attempted assassination wasn't the main shock here. It was how the Queen handled it. Like a champ, she brushed it off like it was nothing. This proved that she was a G and not someone to mess with. This wasn't the only attempt either. There were 3 attempts of her assassination and she brushed them all off as if the armed men were just bad shots. That's the mentality we need from a queen. Her name. The late Queen Elizabeth's early reign was still dominated by traditions. At the time, a woman was supposed to take her spouse's last name when she married, but that was not the case for the Queen. She was pressured by Prince Philip, but she decided to go against his wish, broke tradition and kept her last name instead. I mean, if she doesn't care about attempted assassination, I don't think she's gonna care about our opinion on what her last name is. Hollywood hit. Queen Elizabeth demanded a crucial part when she agreed to appear alongside Daniel Craig in the James Bond sketch, which helped open the 2012 London Olympics. That is, to have a speaking role. Angela Kelly, the Queen's royal dresser and close confidant, disclosed this interesting tidbit in her new book. The Queen, the dresser, and the wardrobe. She recalled asking if the Queen wanted a speaking part. Without hesitation, Her Majesty replied, "Of course, I must say something. After all, he is coming to rescue me." I mean, Queen or not, who wouldn't want to talk to James Bond? Humor. Even in her 90s, the late Queen never lost her humor. During a 2-day tour to Ireland in 2016, when asked by Deputy First Minister Martin McGuinness on how she was doing, she replied, "Well, I'm still alive." She added, "I've been quite busy. There's a lot going on." She also was reported to have quick-witted humor and knew how to make a crowd laugh. And even if you didn't laugh, she was the Queen, so that's just rude. Her distance traveled. This is insane. Ready for this statistic? During her reign, the Queen traveled over 1 million miles, or equivalent to 40 journeys around the world. That makes her easily the most well-traveled monarch in British history. To put that in perspective for you, that's really far. Jokes aside, around the world 40 times is crazy. The Queen visited over 100 countries as the head of state. She carried out roughly 21,000 engagements and hosted 113 head of states from other countries, including Emperor of Ethiopia, Japan's Emperor, and finally President Donald Trump. And she gave more than 180 garden parties at Buckingham Palace, attended by more than 1.5 million people. I think it's fair to say the late Queen lived a whole and fulfilling life. She knows Victoria's Secret. Corgis. I love dogs, they're best companion and pet, and if you like cats more unless you're allergic to dogs, you are a sour human. I'm joking, but at the same time, a bit of me isn't joking. Me and the late Queen had this in common. The Queen famously loved corgis, owning over 30 of them in her lifetime, dating back to the first royal corgi, Dookie, in 1933. But her last corgi passed in 2018. She didn't want to breed any that would outlive her last dog. She did replace her dogs with 2 Dorgies, a crossbreed between a Dachshund and a Corgi, that the Queen is credited with inventing. Yeah, you heard that right. The Queen invented a whole new flippin' species of dogs because she was a G. My country, my rules. The Queen stood apart from British government affairs, but she wasn't above making a subtle political point. In 2003, she famously offered the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia a tour of Balmoral, her Scottish estate. The Queen took the wheel of a Range Rover herself. Women weren't allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia at the time, and the Crown Prince from Saudi Arabia was apparently nervous, and that was only increasing as the Queen, an army driver in conflict time, accelerated the Land Rover along the narrow Scottish estate road, talking all the time. Through his interpreter, the Crown Prince implored the Queen to slow down and concentrate on the road ahead. Longest reign. Queen Elizabeth was queen for 70 years and 214 days, making her the longest reigning British monarch and the second longest reigning monarch of all time. One of just 4 to rule for 7 or more decades. Just ahead of her is Louis of France at 72 years and 110 days, 1643 to 1715, who benefited from a head start, ascending the throne at just 5 years old. Just behind the Queen was the King of Thailand from 1946 to 2016, 70 years and 126 days, and Johann II of Liechtenstein, 1858 to 1929, 70 years and 90 days. I guess you could say she was born for the role. Thanks for watching.